The storm hit the Wyoming plains like a living beast, tearing across the open land with rain sharp enough to sting and wind strong enough to throw a man from his horse. Trees bent under the relentless gusts, the sky dark and angry, and the dirt trails turned into rivers of mud. Ethan Cole, a rugged rancher seasoned by the harshest winters, rode fast, his coat soaked through, his hat plastered to his hair. He'd been checking the northern fence lines when a faint, desperate cry cut through the roar of the storm. He stopped his horse abruptly, listening. There it was, again a soft, trembling voice swallowed by the wind. Ethan spurred his horse toward the sound, his heart pounding. He knew that anyone caught in a storm like this without shelter could die in minutes. And then he saw her. A woman collapsed near a fallen fence post, shaking violently, drenched from head to toe. Her dress was soaked and clinging to her body, her hair matted across a pale face. Her lips were blue, and her shallow breaths told him she was on the edge of hypothermia. "Ma'am, can you hear me?" Ethan called as he leaped from his horse, splashing through the mud. She tried to speak, but only a faint whisper escaped. "Sea cold." "Can't." He wrapped his strong arms around her, pressing her against his chest, trying to transfer every ounce of his body heat to hers. "Hold on. You're safe now," he murmured. She clung weakly to him, shivering violently, but there was no time to waste. Ethan lifted her into his arms with practiced strength and carried her to his horse. The rain pounded harder, lightning cracking across the sky as thunder rolled in response. Her teeth chattered, and her tiny body shook uncontrollably. "I won't let anything happen to you," he said, gripping her tightly. He mounted the horse, shielding her as best he could from the relentless storm, and urged the horse forward toward his cabin. By the time they reached the safety of his small log cabin, she was barely conscious. Ethan rushed inside, lit the lantern, and laid her gently near the fire. Flames flickered across the room, casting warm light on their soaked figures. He pulled blankets from the bed, wrapping her tightly, rubbing her arms and shoulders to restore circulation. "Stay with me," he said softly. "You're going to be all right." Her eyes fluttered open slowly, terror giving way to a mixture of relief and exhaustion. "Tea, Haith," she whispered, her voice shaking. I didn't think I'd make it." Ethan's jaw tightened. "Who did this to you?" She shivered at the memory, hesitating. "Outlaws. They chased me. I ran into the storm, hoping to lose them. I thought I'd die out there." Ethan's gaze darkened. "Not on my watch," he said quietly, his fingers brushing against bruises on her wrist. He tightened the blanket around her, holding her close as the storm continued to rage outside. She leaned against him instinctively, seeking warmth, finding comfort in his steady presence. Why would you help me?" she asked softly, her voice almost a whisper. "Because no one deserves to face a night like this alone," he said. His eyes softened, though his jaw remained firm. She looked up at him, searching his face, and finally gave a small, trembling smile. The fire crackled, and the storm outside seemed a little less terrifying with him there. Hours passed, the storm slowly weakening as the night wore on. Ethan remained by her side, brushing wet hair from her face, checking her warmth, making sure she was safe. In the early hours of dawn, the rain eased, and the first hints of sunlight painted the sky in muted gold. She whispered, barely audible, "Ethan, I don't want to leave." "Not now." He looked down at her, their eyes meeting, and he saw not fear, but strength, survival, and trust. "Then stay," he said softly. "As long as you need. You're safe here." Outside, the storm clouds began to break, revealing a serene Wild West morning. Inside the cabin, something new had begun, an unspoken bond forged in survival, warmth, and the quiet heroism of a rancher who refused to let anyone die on his land. For the first time in days, she breathed easily, wrapped in his arms, protected from the world. The storm had passed, but the memory of the night and the man who saved her would linger forever.